So let's introduce the host for this webinar. You have myself, Ashley Haskins, who's with the CR BillMax team, and my colleague here, Megan Linden, who is the Director of Operations for the BillMax team. We'll be going through the presentations together, giving you some of our areas of expertise and knowledge throughout today's webinar, and kind of tying them into when is it good to consider outsourcing your billing. All right, so topics we're going to cover today on the agenda: a little bit about the system and the platform within CentralReach. We'll talk about 6 major questions that we think are really key questions in considering outsourcing. We'll go ahead and make sure that we kind of do some general topic sharing on how we can help the ABA process, optimize our operations and our service delivery and pieces, and how that can kind of all tie into things that you really should be considering with that outsourcing question in the forefront of your mind. I do want to start the presentation with a small reminder. We are not lawyers. We are not here to break down contractual laws or rules that may apply to your individual organizations, nor do I want to represent myself for legal advice, but anything you hear through this presentation is for informational purposes only. So we do ask that if you want more specifics that pertain to your group or your individual contracts and payer practices, that you either consult your own attorney or your contract provider representatives, where any guidelines or questions can be more clearly defined for you. Sorry there. So let's go ahead and talk about the end-to-end practice management and data collection. So we want to talk about this whole process and a little bit about CentralReach. For those of you who are not familiar with our system, it's a first point of contact in connecting our front end to the back end. So when we talk about that, we look at payments and how they're posted, and how CentralReach covers it all from initial billing all the way to the end. So the practice management system and our clinical solutions is really an all-in-one platform that's integrated to streamline the processes for your clinicians, your administrative staff, and everything in between. CentralReach creates solutions that help streamline these operations to be able to manage your practice remotely. It also provides the visibility over practitioners and services to see what's being rendered. It allows you to enable and contribute to your billing information and where things are. It provides a HIPAA compliant secured system. Once again, that top to bottom full service cycle, which is kind of represented here in this circle image, just kind of showing how we connect all the dots in order for you to be able to efficiently deliver care and build a platform from the ground up exclusively to your business on these clinical workflows. Starting with number 1 with the intake process, moving down the line to the right with authorizations, scheduling, appointments, collecting all of that data, creating timesheets, writing session notes, making a billing entry, managing claims. It's top to bottom full cycle. So let's talk about the first question we mentioned of those few key revenue cycle questions with how do we have an agent involved? First one, is outsourcing to a managed billing company different than in-house? All right, so let's talk about the in-house versus the managed billing concept. If you were able to observe in our previous webinars that Megan and I hosted, we discussed that there are some benefits to both in-house or billing with outsourced. It really depends on how your organization wishes to manage and identify certain responsibilities. But the main difference between the two is in-house billing costs and changes depending on different situations and circumstances that are always changing, whereas managed billing is a fixed percent that fluctuates only depending on the revenue your organization creates, and it's also easily tracked. So that's really the simplest form of explaining in-house versus managed billing. When we look at question number 2, and things like, well, won't I lose money if I'm managing with another company and they're taking percentages of our collections? It's a really valid question. So let's dig into that one. Let's talk about what goes into that revenue and to that data. So you'll see here just a little bit of background for some vocabulary. you have what's called a gross collection rate, or a GCR for an acronym here. This is the money that you receive from the payers divided by the money you bill to the payers per your agreed rate. So I'm going to take a second just to explain for those of you who don't currently use these practices in your organization. What you invoice to your payers would be essentially what you are billing to your payers. But that may not be the agreed rate or the contracted rate that you expect to get back from the payers. So if you're using CentralReach for this management process, you have what's called billed rates and agreed rates. If you're not using the system, I wanted to take a moment just to explain that terminology to see the difference. Because if you're invoicing what your operational costs and what it takes for you to render the same service across any insurance provider, for that type of service to be collectible and bring a profit into your business, let's talk about those numbers. That's where your gross collection rate is important to really identify. To do that, you have to understand what goes into your gross collection rate. What are some of the factors to consider? So we talk about what's called the charge master rate of doing business. So with each of your income-based sources, all of your commercial payers, federal payers, regional centers, school districts, waiver programs, yada, all the sources that could exist, how does those individual sources compare against a charge master rate? I talked about what is the baseline cost for your organization to render that service and make some kind of profit? And how does that correlate to the agreed rate for each one of those income sources? So knowing the impact and the difference in your billed rate and your agreed rate and locking in those charges, that's where we really kind of get a fundamental understanding and the starting point of identifying where our gross collection rate is. Now, be mindful as well. These rates are easier to track, monitor using the platform if you're using those tools. Keeping in mind as well, it's a good way to track what is consistent, typically your payers that don't change, or what's not consistent. Maybe the payers, if you happen to participate with a federally funded program, those rates may not be negotiable for you on a contract term. You're subject to whatever rates they reevaluate annually. So being able to see the difference and the fluctuation and the reporting by identifying these two key factors is the beginning point to understanding where your revenue profits are coming in and how to manage them. So let's take a little bit of a closer average on how outsourcing billing can kind of help with those numbers. So let's take a look at these three boxes. On average, in the healthcare industry, collections hang out around 80 to 85%. But we know from an ABA service line, the average number is much lower. This has an estimate more around the 60 to 70 percentile. And remember, you're paying salaries while missing out on that 20 to 40% of your collection. So having a good managed billing company will earn more than their percent of collection. For example, if CR BillMax earns 97% of claims in the first year with your partnership, you're earning 16 to 14% more and only spending a small fraction of that, perhaps maybe 4 to 7% on that fixed rate versus the fluctuating in-house rates that you have to kind of jockey between every employee situation, turnover, staffing, maybe materials, things like that. So knowing where CR BillMax can help increase and close that gap between the industry average and using expertise helps you kind of fill in the gap of what maybe operational costs you have with internal situations and staff and supplies. I'm going to go ahead and pause here and give my colleague Megan an opportunity to chime in on her perspective on the next couple of questions. So Megan, why don't you go ahead and handle question number 3?
Sure. Thanks, Ashley. So a major question we get asked all the time when organizations are looking to outsource is, when I lose control and visibility over your billing processes, what I can see and what I can see is going on. The answer to that is if you pick the right billing company or outside agency, no. Honestly, we've seen it happen from organizations that are moving from one third-party agency over to BillMax, where they lock you out of your account. They don't provide you any visibility to workflows. You lose access to portals. You lose access to major pieces that help you run your business and give the visibility of actually how successful or unsuccessful that partnership really is. But CR BillMax, we work directly out of your account within CentralReach. You see everything that is being done, from claim generation to payment posting, to the follow-up on your claims, to invoicing of your clients for their individual deductibles, copays, co-insurances. You could see it in real time. If a team member worked in that account today, at the end of the day, you could see what was in there. You want to choose a managed partner that gives you that visibility and is also giving you fully disclosed workflows. With CR BillMax, you know upfront what the expectations are, what we're going to partner with, what we will or will not do within your account. We share information with you on a regular basis. You have a client service team member who meets with you on a weekly basis to go over that information to make sure that you are 100% fully visible of everything that's going on within your account. Another question that we get asked all the time is, can a managed billing company support rapid change, such as new payers, shifting regulations, expanding services? The answer to that question is the good ones can. If you're partnering with an organization as a third-party agent that is not experts in your field, you're doing your organization disservice of not getting that information. A managed billing company are experts, so they should save you time with being able to give you updates on CPT codes, give you information on telehealth transitions. They'll be able to make sure that any payer trends that are coming out, any updated informations, they could assist you with being proactive to these changes so you don't have a decrease in revenue because you're behind the 8 ball when it comes to understanding what these changes mean, how to set up your system, all those individual pieces that are time consuming. CR BillMax, for example, provides consultation on payer-specific contracts and fee schedules to make sure that it's individualized for your organization, to make sure that you're compliantly billing and generating the most revenue based off of your specific contract. So although it's scary to think about all the changes in ABA, speech, physical therapy, everything that changes on a regular basis, some payers change monthly, some payers change quarterly, most of them change yearly. Are they adding modifiers, removing modifiers? Is there authorization changes? All of that is information that a good third-party agent is going to be able to hold your hand and help you get through those changes without having to see a decrease in revenue because you upfront know about that information instead of getting the claim denials and then having to worry about lost revenue and time trying to recoup those monies because of updates or changes that you were unaware of. Another question that we get asked are, what types of services are provided to organizations when they are partnering with a billing company? The main ones should be, if you're partnering with the right company, are payer and document contract reviews. For example, like I mentioned in one of the previous slides, BillMax will look at your fee schedules, your state, your contracts to make sure that not only do you understand what your agreed rates are, like Ashley talked about in the start of the presentation, what you should be expecting as far as revenue, what you can and cannot do based off of that contract to make sure your billing is going out compliantly. Third-party billing agencies will do initial billing, secondary billing, tertiary billing. Sometimes tertiary billing includes grants, school services, things that might not necessarily fall within the scope of billing, but also generate revenue. Cash posting, taking all of those electronic payments, checks, credit card payments that are coming in through the system and posting them so that you have an accurate accounts receivable. Work your accounts receivable, claim denials, appeals, correspondence, audits, all of that is stuff, if you're working with the correct partner, will be able to provide you as services for third-party billing, along with, in some circumstances, client services. That would be patient invoicing, sending families or clients their responsibilities, copays, deductibles, co-insurances, setting up those payment plans, working them through that information so that it's full cycle. They handle the account from the data service, making sure that that claim is billed cleanly, correctly, posting it, following up on any denials, following up with any client responsibility, and following up on any claim denials. Another question we asked is, how do I know if managed billing services are right for me? It's a great question. As Ashley spoke about in the start of this webinar, is we as a third-party agent can't make that determination if a billing service is right for you at this time. A good starting point is always looking at your business needs. What is your current gross collection rate? What are you spending in salary, retraining, training employees, hiring employees? The admin time of making sure that your system is set up correctly, that you're accurately tracking denial management. Is that all stuff that you as a business owner are spending too much time focusing on so you can't grow your business? Or is it something that you're comfortable with right now, feeling that your internal team is handling it and with your growth expectations? Looking at all of those different pieces throughout the year, the upcoming year, looking how it has changed throughout the last couple of years is going to better assist you in understanding if it's time for you to outsource billing, or even if you want to outsource billing. Start asking the questions to see if this is something that would work for you and your organization at this time. Another question is, how do I choose a managed billing company? CR BillMax is one. There's plenty of others out there that are all out there. How do I know which one is correct and will work best with my company? You want to ask the right questions. Ashley talked about benchmarking your gross collection rate. Starting out and understanding what your gross collection rate is and what a third-party billing agency is going to be able to provide you as an increase in that. If you don't know where your starting point is, how can you tell if this billing company is going to give you a better return? What is it costing you to bill internally? We're talking about staff, we're talking about supplies, we're talking about training, retraining, everything we've gone over in previous webinars. What are the cost benefits for the organization? What is my current gross collection rate, and what is the fee that they're going to be charging? Is it a fee that I could live with? Is there negotiations if I'm in a certain level of collections? Does that fee change? Security and transparency, like I talked about a little while ago. How will you access your billing information? Are you able to see that information real time? How do I know if my company and my billing is in compliant billing practices with my specific contract, my specific state, my specific specialty? Reputation and reliability. How long have they been billing ABA services? How long have they been billing any of the services that you rendered? What other services do they offer as opposed to just billing services? Can a new client speak with a current existing client to see their success, to see what they're saying about those services that are being provided by that third-party agency? Resources. Do they provide a dedicated account manager to ask specific questions? Will you have one single point of contact, or are you going to speak with one person about billing, one person about payment posting, one person about accounts receivable? What other resources does this organization provide you with to support billing changes? Is there somebody who's looking at coding? Is there somebody who's looking at your modifiers, your contracts? Is there somebody who's keeping up with payer changes and information that's being released for your specific, not only payers, there's state changes, there's regulations that change on a regular basis. Is anybody that you're looking at as a partner providing any of these services that makes sense for you? Know what you want to get out of that partnership. The expectations for both parties need to be clear and set. Your third-party agent is going to be responsible for this list of things. Internally, you're going to be responsible for a separate list of things. If you don't have a clear direction with your agent of who's expecting what, is it really a partnership? You want to make sure that it's a valid partnership, that the third-party billing agency and your actual organization are in this together. The success of your organization is the success of your third-party agency. They're not in it just to collect the money. They want to make sure that all of your organizational goals are met, to grow, to expand, to take on new payers, to take on new specialties. Is this partner that you're choosing going to be able to effectively get you through those plans that you have for yourself? Ashley, did I miss on anything? I think we covered it all.
No, I think we covered a lot here. And because we're just trying to open up the dialogue between in-house agents, hopefully we kind of, once again, just gave you that really general overview of some really key questions to start the thought process. What's really important for your organization? Mind you, we also have other content and other webinars that may add a little bit more depth and clarity to some of those pieces and the partnership that BillMax can also offer to your organization. The only thing I can think of that one question that usually arises for users that come to the BillMax partnership is, remember, it's a partnership with BillMax. We are not just an agent, as Megan pointed out, the transferability of information, being able to go in the account at any point in time and see what the agent is doing. To me, whether it's a BillMax or another agent, is really key to understanding your business and the health of your business. Where is it going to grow? How is it going to project? And because we are also integrated with the platform, there are good tips and tricks to show you efficient ways to use the system to have better visibility into those questions of how is my revenue behaving? How do I look at those charge master rates? How do I look at the growth? Which payers are my most profitable versus not, with those details in place? How do I capitalize on all of the system functions to do those pieces? But essentially, if your in-house operations are relying on all of these things to be managed by one or maybe two individuals, think about that. Think about the differences between staffing, PTO. They go on vacation for a couple of days, they have to make up that lag. Whereas that lag is different internally as it is handled with an agent. Resources and materials, computers go down, weather disrupts internet connection, things like that. You have those limits when you're restricted to a region or in-house, things like that, and sometimes can complicate matters of being able to satisfy and get billing and get your revenue moving, or pull reporting information, or just have somebody who you know is giving you industry expertise on what they know cross-functionally in the nation, what's going on, not just what your organization is doing. So great points, Megan. I know we would love everybody who's attended this webinar to please answer a quick survey that we have announced at the end here, roughly maybe 2 minutes of your time. But we hope everyone found some value in this webinar. We're going to go ahead and kind of answer any questions here in the channel in just a moment. But we welcome you to join any one of our other series that Megan and I speak on and create more creative juices going on, and your interest in kind of diversifying your thoughts about how you can improve your own business and where we can maybe offer some services and some suggestions in that process. But thank you everyone for coming and being here with us today.